Dynamite Download.
Dynamite Download, your home for all positive coverage with all elite wrestling.
You guys, positive energy.
This reality, like, it is me. Like,
Who let
Oh
this
my
guy in
gosh!
here? This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
I'm saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
I said, Mariah May, she said, who?
Because I'm so driven, and I'm so moved to like what I want to do.
Versus Brian Keith match.
It's awesome. Oh, it's so cool. You got like these creepy ass dudes.
Oldest ride, longest line.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
I never say never about anything.
Yeah.
Back to do an interview with those guys. You know why? Because they spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Woo!
Is up episode 131 of Dynamite Download, locking things down. Your hosts, Mind Runner and SPD. Welcome, folks. Happy Thursday. Going into the 1 year anniversary of Collision this Saturday. I can't believe a year's flown by. A lot has happened. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of drama, a lot of new faces coming and going. But it's very impressive. I'm happy for, first off, Rosa getting a huge match on Collision, she was featured on the pre-show promos for how long?
Yeah.
And then finally getting like a good spotlight on Collision. Like her vibe is so perfect for Collision. But we can talk a little bit about that later. But how's it going, Mind Runner? Fresh off the heels of a great interview, I heard.
Yeah, Julie Cutler, awesome stuff. If you haven't got a chance to go over to the Mission Pro YouTube page, check out the live chat I had with Julie Cutler. She is the most captivating woman in the world, and she's probably a bigger market women's wrestling than I am. I couldn't, and that's hard to do, as you know. We were talking about a lot of things going on in women's wrestling. We were talking about Mercedes Moné, talking about a lot of cool stuff, and I'm excited. Yeah, exactly. CEO. I can't quite do it as good as Will Ospreay does it, but of course, she made some really, really good points about a possible, about the talent, the female talent in AEW, and kind of how far that's come. And one of the things that is kind of given the women's roster a setback compared to the men in AEW is when AEW started. Again, this is only a 5-year company. When AEW started, they had a Chris Jericho. People have heard of the Young Bucks. People heard of Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, even like a Shawn Spears comes in. These are names that people were aware of. Right. Whereas there really wasn't until Saraya and Mercedes Moné, there really wasn't a female signee. There wasn't anybody that people were very familiar of. So they didn't have that superstar to build up new stars off of. And I thought that was a very good insight. But now you've got a Thunder Rosa, you've got all these superstars and some homegrown superstars as well, that I think it's really growing. We've got a lot of those, and hopefully, and we got a lot of ladies coming off the injury table very soon.
Hopefully. So speaking of injuries, your first overall pick of round 1 just recently announced he's going to take a little time off. We wish the best for Uncle Dax, and we thank him for being so transparent online, as he always is, even though this online universe is so toxic, even though us at Dynamite Download try to infiltrate it with positivity, as we have done for over 130 episodes now. In counting. So Dax, we wish you get well soon, buddy. We can't wait for the top guys to be top guys in and out again soon.
Let me say, preface with all the compassion and hope that Dax takes his time, rest up, because he's so valued to the AEW team, and I want him to take the time he needs to get healed. But allow me 5 seconds of why my first draft pick is out. Okay, there you go. Done.
So with that being said, throw up the latest rankings. Let's see them.
for the draft. And look,
what in the world?
The king, the top guy, as you said in the chat.
Hashtag top guy.
Bobby. Look at that.
Top guy Bobby right now is taking the cake with a 4 at the top of the pyramid there. Now, let's preface this, as we always have. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
And as we know, anything can happen. Lots of matches coming up on Rampage tomorrow. Lots of matches coming up on the Collision 1-year anniversary show. And so we'll see. We shall see, man. For those of you just joining on us seeing these rankings, this is our Dynamite Download Fantasy Draft, where each team has selected 10 superstars, 1 point per win. 12 superstars, 1 point per win. Soon to be 15. We're going to do a +3 parlay in a few weeks. And then we are playing through all out. And so right now, Bobby is taking the cake. You know, he had a Garcia squash last night.
Yeah.
I believe a Kyle O'Reilly win.
I want to know who Bobby paid off last night to say, hey, let's give me a Garcia squash. So
I know.
Take the lead. But I love how the theme in the last season's draft was how Brian and Bobby were at the bottom and they were battling for last place. And it was like Bobby versus the leftover taker. Now the feud continues, but everything has flipped. Bobby and Brian are fighting for first place. And I don't know who that is at the bottom with 1. Thank goodness I got 1. But ever since Brian took my orange away from me, my tribal food away. Oh, and which, let's be honest, that didn't really factor in last night, but we'll talk about that. But not cool. I don't like Mind Runner at the bottom of this whole thing. I don't like that at all. But way to go, Bobby. Good picks, and he's got himself at the top of the mountain. But as Bobby will soon realize, it's lonely at the top, and everybody's gunning for him.
Yes, and it's a marathon. We can't wait to see what happens. We'll revisit this every single week on Dynamite Download, so we'll see where he's up ranking next week for it. But let's dive into the show. A lot happened over this show, you know, to its own demise, going against a finals in the sports, which is unfortunate, but still a very stacked card. 2 title matches, a qualifying match for the TNT Championship. We got the world title, and of course, we got TV time with Chris Jericho. And TV time with Chris Jericho, which has absolutely been a stellar segment. I was looking forward to it all night. But man, this was definitely the main event. Was an SPD special, SPD Dream match, and Will Ospreay versus Rey Fenix, 2 of my top guys, 2 guys on Team SPD, might I add. Really delivered a home run main event, and the card was pretty stacked through and through. One thing I want to first talk about, because I feel like we could definitely spend a lot of time on this, is the Elite. The Elite coming out and announcing that Blood and Guts are going to be fighting in July, not far before the Forbidden Door, which is very, very surprising. Like, you're doing 2 home run shows within a week span. That is very, very epic. Correct. July 24th.
Isn't Forbidden Door this month, or is it next month?
I'm sorry, I might have my dates wrong. Anyways, but Blood and Guts coming up. Forbidden Door is in June. And then this is July. So this is like the July pay-per-view segue here.
Yeah, it's right before All In. And I think they're going to probably do their little Fighter Fest or Fight of the Fallen.
But even so, July 24th, like, that is very close to major shows for AEW.
Yep.
And as we've seen, yes, you have Forbidden Door June 30th, July 24th, you have Blood and Guts, which is that kind of marquee show of that month. And then All In August 25th, the big Wembley Stadium show. So Blood and Guts being announced, was there live for it once. Very brutal match. It takes no prisoners. It is very, very intense. with that being said, I brought a question to the universe. Who do you think is on Team AEW?
Interesting. Yeah, and I guess July 24th is a Dynamite, so it's going to be that special Dynamite like they did the time before. Will probably be that second hour.
Yeah,
of Dynamite. Off the top, of course, yeah, Team Elite, the four that we see right there, obviously, but I've seen a lot of people saying that the natural fifth member should be Hangman. I don't think so. I think the juicy story is them. They may assume Hangman's going to join them, but I can see a kindred spirit blood brother, if you will, where Hangman and Swerve battled so much like how the Blackpool Combat Club, you earn your respect by fighting each other.
right.
You're going to see Hangman join with Swerve. I think Hangman's going to be on Team AEW with Swerve. I don't see any of the, and then it sounds like they're going to have the Acclaimed, but I don't know if they're going to, I think they're going to do something with Billy Gunn where he's not in it and they'll bring in somebody else. So I think it's going to be Swerve, Hangman, Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and then a fifth member that may or may not be Darby. It might be somebody we haven't seen. It might be somebody, it could be Will Ospreay, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I don't see Hangman coming back and then being immediately with the Elite. I see him joining with Swerve.
See, I could go both ways with this. Weeks ago, I really was hoping for that kind of Hangman save. Now the enemy of my enemy is my friend in a sense.
Yeah.
And then I think the crowd would go berserk for either way. If you have Hangman join the Elite, I think that also adds like an additional like really top gunner superstar, which would really strengthen them big time. But then if you don't have Hangman join the Elite, you really get that open door where Kenny and Hangman can team up versus the Young Bucks and do another tag team run potentially. Or you could have Kenny go over the Versa Okada route potentially for the Continental Classic belt, which would be awesome as well. But I think this is one of those safe bookings that either way would work fantastic. I think a heel Hangman with the Elite, even though they did fire him, they could rehire him. So that'd be an interesting storyline there. But then that goes to propose the question. Well, it would make sense for Hangman to try to like go against his firing of the Elite. So he could kind of do that swerve where he's like, thinks he's joining them and then turns on them. But who would be the fifth member of the Elite?
See, that's the thing is like, I think they would need to bring in a ringer, like somebody like, I think they would need to be somebody like a big pop. And then like a Jeff Cobb, but he might not be a big pop just from the standpoint of, but I'm trying to think of somebody that would be like a holy crap. They like somebody that they would be like, hey, we got this fifth member and they're gonna dominate. But it needs to be somebody like that. And I think of it, is it a Lance Archer? Is it a Suzuki? Do they bring in Nick Gage? Do they bring in somebody like a deathmatch specialist? Do they bring in somebody that's gone through a lot of hardcore type matches before? I'm excited to see the way that they go. But
it could be Kill Switch because he's still under, they're doing each other favors still with the patriarchy.
Full Tilt Deb says murder grandpa, but
what if you went the crazy? This is like going way out there. But if Adam Cole joined them and then MJF joined Team AEW.
Now that would be interesting. That or Roosh join the Elite.
Yeah.
I don't know because Adam Cole, he's kind of Mr. Glass right now. I think
I know, but just like I'm thinking of ties with the Elite versus a rental player per se.
Full Tilt Deb wants to ask who who it won't be. I think it's Matt Hardy went to TNA. It won't be Matt Hardy.
Well, there's rumors of Jeff showing up too.
Yeah, that Jeff might be going to TNA. Is that true, Phil Tilt Deb?
We'll see. Let's get our fact checker.
Yeah, no, he might be going there as well. I mean, he needs to be with his brother.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Jeff Hardy's going to TNA, and you know what? He needs to go there.
Good. I'm happy for him.
I think that's going to be a good. I think TNA is going to be at a pace that's perfect for the Hardy boys the Hardy men, Hardys to do that. But oh my goodness.
Team Mindowner special right here. We almost have we're starting to get our weekly segments of Roosh appreciation time. Another great outing on Dynamite, both in the ring of just a complete whooping, and then everything that happened outside the ring with the feud with MJF is just going to be dynamite. This is a feud that we never knew we wanted, and it's already, caught fire and then some.
When I heard the rumors, and you and I talked on the text, when I heard the rumors that this was going to be MJF's first feud when he comes back, I was like, what? And then I was thinking, is it just going to be a squash? But both of these guys have really, not only the physicality, but they've really sold this as a grudge match. I mean, the way that they're getting set. I thought it was funny how they turned and started beating up the security, like they were back to back beating up the security. And then they turned and faced each other. But it was like they before we fight each other, we want this to happen, and they beat each other. And the fact that the crowd was going, we were chanting, "Let them fight" here in the house. Let them fight, let them fight. And so that when you have the crowd chanting, "Let them fight," you've got them hooked in. You've got this match hooked in. And the fact that we're getting this next week, and I hope this is only the beginning of this. I hope this feud continues. I mean, are we going to see more LFI people with him? What's going to happen? What's his direction?
Right.
There's so much going on with, and I love that Roosh is getting a proper spotlight. And if anybody can really elevate his opponent is MJF, because with all of his roasting on the mic, when he roasts his opponent, MJF, he secretly builds them up too. But he's really good on the mic, but he really does a great job of making them seem like he's on his level, even though he says they're not.
The level of the devil.
Yeah, the level of devil. He says that, but with the other things he says, he makes it seem like this is a legit feud. And look at that! Look at that crazy MFer right there.
Yeah, right. I agree with you. I mean, as much as I'm here for this, and I'm excited for us, and I can't believe we're already going to get it next week, commercial free, kicking off Dynamite. And so I'm honestly surprised, as I mentioned before. I was like, I don't like the hot and cold booking. Like, if you're going in on this, continue to do stuff like they're doing with this build. They've built this match, I think, really perfectly so far, and I think it's going to deliver. And then I'm curious to see how it's going to pan out. Honestly, I'm excited for MJF's return in the ring, and I think it's definitely needed in the landscape of AEW currently. Someone else that has returned recently that really has helped, I'm excited about, is the Collision Cowboys are back together. Juice Robinson is back in action. He is back with the Bang Bang Gang, and he is holding the trios belt right now. We got Switchblade, Cardblade, back in action too. So I wonder where Switchblade is, but this is one of those, like, Juice Robinson is so dang good on the mic, and this is what made the Bang Bang Gang just really cherry on top. So having them at full health and full steam ahead, they are going to start running shot of Collision all over again. I think it's going to be some fantastic stuff, and I'm happy for these guys to get back together. I do feel like they're buying time a little bit, doing some certain things. And now that the juice is loose, as Brent says, we are ready to rock and roll full steam at that 1 year anniversary. And they set a challenge to the former champs, and it's going to be a real test on Saturday.
Yeah, and people have criticized the booking of House of Black, but I mean, the House of Black, they're the proverbial villains. They're supposed to be the villains, and let's be honest, your Collision Cowboys are kind of the villains that you love. I mean, I don't see them losing, and I do kind of like that the ceremony they did with Juice, where he's now they're gonna invoke the Freebird rule, where any combination of the three can defend the trios titles.
Which I like, and I think you've
Yeah.
talked about that before, like similar, like with tag titles. If let's just say the Malachi Black and Brody won the tag titles, then Buddy could defend it with one. Like so, within your group, could do that. Now I'm for that. I think that works. What's happening is Jay White hurt? What's going on with him?
No.
The card blade kind of makes my head scratch. Like I don't think. Having the card blade in the promo, I think is funny for us fans who used to see it.
Yep.
But to me, it's a glimpse into a future. Is he not going to be on TV for a while? That Juice is back. They're kind of trading places, or what?
I think you're partly right. I think yes, they're trading places. I think they're going to make Juice more part of the trios. However, I think they're grooming Jay White for the Owen Hart tournament. I think we're going to see.
He's
think
a
we
top
need
guy
to,
for sure on his own and hit the singles, and he's gotten some good singles runs in the past, and his finisher is very, very protected.
Yep.
I would like to see him in that tournament for sure. Also, I wouldn't mind seeing him in that TNT title tournament too. So, like, I feel like the TNT championship should go to. I think Jack Perry should still win it because I think it would be a lot of fun with all four of those guys having gold and just being super cocky.
Yeah,
I think that would be a lot. I think that would be a great way to go. Takesha would be also another great way to go because of the matches that he could deliver. If Jay White gets put in this match, that means 4 belts for the Bang Bang Gang too. So I think as much as you want to disperse it, I think it's cooler to have that kind of like solid group of just, cocky gold wearing everyone having it.
Yeah. I mean, look at him right now. Look at this. Look at the ridiculousness in this picture. You add more titles. I just think it, just give them all the gold. They're Bullet Club gold. What do they need? They need gold.
Right.
So I agree with you about Jack Perry, but Jay White needs to be kind of up there in that same, usually a very wise wrestling philosopher named J.P. Harlow once told me in an interview that every wrestling promotion, when you really look at it, they have their top 5 in the main picture. And then there's people, of course, there's tag teams and all that stuff too, but you got to center around you think about back in the 2000s, you had your Austin, Triple H, Undertaker, Rock, Kurt Angle. And then one person, somebody else would come in and replace him. You figure in AEW's top 5, if you're talking just about singles, you've got Swerve, you got Ospreay, you've got, arguably Orange Cassidy, but you need, Jay White needs to be in that top 5. He needs to be in that hunt, and I think it's time to get him in there. Whether or not he ends up, main eventing All In, I don't know, but I think Jay White needs to be in that top 5 and needs to be in the run for it.
You talk about main eventing All In, and someone who added himself to the tournament last night was very convincing. I mean, he sold me too, and I loved the Bastards promo. The guy was just, spitting fire, and he is speaking the truth, man. Honestly, like for someone his caliber not to have his Wembley moment, for someone his caliber not to have a world title and everything he said, he's not wrong. This guy is, pretty close to a one-of-a-kind wrestler and what he can do overall in the ring. And honestly, I think he's been booked kind of on and off or hot and cold. And I could see him definitely, being a top guy.
Absolutely. Pac is a homegrown AEW talent.
Yeah.
Whoever Neville was, whoever
True.
Mighty Mouse was, that's not this guy. This is Pac. And Pac is a AEW original. And to get him to have his Wembley moment, whether it's for the TNT title or the world title, book it.
Right.
He needs gold again around his waist.
So, I mean, it's just unfortunate how many losses he takes, but I would love for Danielson to have his moment to get the gold. Pac would be great. But it was nice that he threw that little, we're not done with you with the trios, little moment there. So I feel like Death Triangle could have their moment at All In by regaining the trios titles, which would be pretty compelling as well in a nice trios match. But man, this was a great promo. I had to say that because I was not expecting that. And already we have Danielson, Pac. Who else has entered the tournament?
Danielson, Pac, and I'm not sure. I can't. I don't know. I don't remember.
Let us know if there's someone else who's entered the tournament.
Let us know in the chat.
Oh, there's someone.
Oh, Shingo to get from New Japan. Yes. Shingo.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby, with the save there. Awesome.
Yeah, Bobby with the save there. So I want to talk about. I mean, in a match that I was kind of surprised by the booking.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? First, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the pre-promo by Mark Briscoe going wild.
Yeah.
I think he was marking out, or Renee Paquette was trying to hold back her laugh as much as possible. And I couldn't believe how long this ran, but man, the Briscoe with this absolute fire promo. Kyle O'Reilly's look says it all. Renee Paquette, she was holding back the laughs as well as much as possible. Who knows? Willow was giggling. I mean, this guy, he delivered this really awesome promo in a comedic way, but also a powerful way. What did you think of this one?
I was ready to follow him into battle myself. I was like, let's go. Kung Fu, chicken Kung Fu. Let's go, Redneck Kung Fu. Let's do this. I love it because, again, it was one of those things where it like started out as kind of and especially with Orange Cassidy's low-key vibe, started out as your regular, okay, now we're backstage. And then as soon as they let him rip, he went froggy. He went nuts, and it was great. And the reactions were genuine, and he just, like, we need Mark Briscoe more on our screen.
You're right.
I've got a tiny mind runner nitpick about this whole match, but it's a nitpick that actually worked out in the end. And it's one of those things where number one, I hope we get more Mark Briscoe on Dynamite and Collision. And he's the Ring of Honor champion. And, he needs to be more prominent on Ring of Honor. But as we're going to talk about in this match, there are some things set up that maybe they're setting up some things for Ring of Honor. But this is a guy that this is one of those guys that just he's been doing this kind of thing with his brother for so long, and he's starting to really find his place in AEW and Ring of Honor, and I love it. And the fact that he just went nuts. Yeah. And this is this guy that's just that, we're going to see him in the ladder match for the TNT title. So it's going to be, he's just going to be crazy there. Which is, again, I never want to complain about being served a steak dinner. However, to have the Ring of Honor champion now, going after the TNT title, granted, Kenny was a belt collector, what have you, and all that, but do you feel like it lessens the Ring of Honor world champion title for him to now be in a tournament for the TNT title? Does that lessen, or does it matter? Is it not? Are they two different titles and it shouldn't matter?
I feel like they're, I love Briscoe, and I love his opportunities he's getting, and just obviously these stuff, but I feel like maybe are they just trying to, scrape up like hot baby faces for this match to pair up with the heavy heels, or what? Because Jack Perry and Takeshita, you got to try to have some big pops for the baby faces. The good thing about the ladder match is it protects. You're not going to take a loss. You're not going to take like the pin. So, and in this trios match, you didn't take the pin either.
Yeah, he did.
So. What?
He got pinned by Fletcher.
Oh, I'm sorry. In the ladder match, it won't matter.
Yeah.
I feel like that will help protect it, but I don't want to see a world title on someone taking like losses in other random matches.
Yeah.
It may not be random to him, but I don't think it necessarily lessens it, but I don't necessarily need to see that. I'd rather have him focus on that world title because that's such a huge accomplishment. That's such a huge, moniker to carry and a belt to carry. I think you really need to focus on that more.
Yeah, he's representing the company. He's representing Ring
Right.
of Honor with that, which, like going back off of the end result, not to put the cart before the horse, but, him taking the pin from Kyle Fletcher, at my knee-jerk reaction was like, what? But then I realized, no, the opposite. This is setting up a huge feud between the TV champion, the Ring of Honor TV champion, and the world champion. Now you've got this Kyle Fletcher versus Briscoe feud, which I think that would be tremendous. Hey, I beat you. I want the world title, what have you. But and you're right. And like you said, I felt the same way when I first saw this. It was like, wow, this is so random. But there were so many storylines that came out of this match that were worked. It did feel a little shoehorned, but I mean, again, I'm not turning down a steak dinner. And then at the end, there were so many stories that spread from this that I feel like it was a good payoff, and it really got to showcase 6 of the top guys in AEW. My only thing is that there are still some other. You could have swapped it. You could have put Daniel Garcia instead of Mark Briscoe, or you could have put, you could have done something where you swapped out one of them, one of the people with, and Courtney's not turning down points. I don't blame you either, Courtney. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was thrilling. It was really cool to see the dynamic. It's one of those things where, there wasn't much of a, I didn't quite understand what Roderick Strong's doing with the Callis family, or why Briscoe all of a sudden is with Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly. But then again, when the steak dinner was sitting in front of me, I ate, and we all ate with this match. And I'm looking forward to seeing where these all various storylines go. I think Trent joining the Callis family is such an upgrade, where he's now wearing he looks like he's almost like a mafioso, enforcer.
I think it's a great upgrade for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. This match, surprisingly, all the high spots and all the action really was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was kind of just surprised by the blend of talent that was in this trios match. Sometimes it's just kind of like, what's going on here? But the way it turned out and the chemistry that all these 6 men had, I thought really worked together, and just a fun match to watch on TV.
Yeah.
It didn't really further any story that much for now. It didn't really hurt any story for now. I think it was just a pure kind of a heel, some of the heels versus some of the baby faces right now. And there was a lot of fun action, nonstop action. It was right off the get-go going, full steam ahead. And believe it or not, I really just enjoyed it. I really just enjoyed it a lot. But the match I enjoyed the most.
Of course, and I got to preface, I think I felt like going in, I was trying to really temper my expectations, because my expectations for this match were super, super high. I didn't want to be disappointed, but I was not. I mean, who could be disappointed with this? But go ahead.
The match I enjoyed the most, of course, you got to know, with Ray Phoenix, which Justin Roberts delivered a fantastic intro for Ray. Will by God Ospreay. Main event, overrun match. This is was it delivered? I had high expectations. I really did, because I hold both these guys, into, I think, very highly of both of them, and they just continue to wow me every single time. And I think the announce team did a fantastic job putting them both over. Not that they necessarily need it, just talking about the history and their styles, and especially, man, Ray Phoenix, my favorite wrestler in AEW right now. It's great that a lot of people are showing him the love and that he deserves, because this guy is a hard worker. He's an innovator. He's incredible in the ring. He's why you go watch wrestling live.
Yes.
And really just jaw-dropping stuff that he does every single time, and makes it look so effortlessly, like that one leg springboard frog splash, and just like these random like rope walks. Like, I'm just like, bro, how?
They're
Ospreay,
like
the counters, it's just like, bruv, how?
They're wrestling scientists, these two. both of them. Like and one thing you and I have said why you and I agree why the Lucha Brothers are one of our favorite tag teams, if not our favorite tag team at Dynamite Download of all time. Is every time they're in the ring, they try something new. And Will Ospreay is also they're like, I was commenting to Deb, we were watching this, it was like they were liquid. It was like they were like these liquid beings that were just like flowing around with each other. And Will Ospreay even admitted, he said he invented a new move on the spot. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but he caught him or something, and it was like now people are trying to give him a name for it. But the balance, it's got to be refreshing to be someone like Will Ospreay or Ray Phoenix, to be able to step into the ring with somebody on their level. Granted, they can both of these guys can have a tremendous match with anybody, but to be able to just be in the ring with somebody with that kind of talent equal to yours, you're cooking. You're putting on a tremendous thing. The fans are eating it up. And I think these two just had a tremendous time just doing these like physics defining moves, and we just ate it up. It was incredible.
The crowd was hot all night. I wish they would have been more hot for the start of this, because I love marking out when two guys get in the ring, the bell rings, two guys in the ring, and they don't even do anything, and the crowd just kind of chants AEW and just marks out for like a good minute or so. Yeah, that's what we did at the match versus Danielson. It was just going wild.
I think that sometimes picture in picture hurts a match like this, because they're go, and then picture in picture hits. They usually slow down the match during picture in picture. They do,
yes. And so as a live audience, I can understand that. However, like when I'm watching it at home, I'm not really ever watching picture in picture, honestly. I think I appreciate it, but I'm not following picture in picture like I follow when it's live on the full screen.
I watch picture in picture for the ads. Then that brings us to our sponsor today, Venus Shaving Razors. If you need to shave that jungle down under, make sure you use Venus razors. Good.
We're always clean. We're always clean cut down there.
yeah. Keep it clean.
The post match, I love that this had overrun, but man, how did this look for you?
Oh,
I mean, Swerve just being an absolute professional in the crowd with his awesome shades, just not on a mic, but on a hot mic, you can hear him clear as day, which was obviously purposeful. But when Ospreay snatched up the belt, whew, man, that shit got real for sure.
Yes, it did. This whole exchange between Swerve and Will served their feud in so many different ways. It helped so many different things. First, Will, of course, baby face, he extends the hand to shake. Swerve is like, this is not a game to you. They do have a history. The fans that do know their history, understand where this comes from. The fans that don't now are aware of it from what they were saying. And I think that there's a couple things. One, anybody that was struggling is Will going to be able to hold both belts? Well, there you go. You got the physical image of this. You also got the seriousness that, Swerve is like, this is not a game. And it really upped up, like anybody else I would have put under the ground, but you're lucky we're friends. So this, I think it established that these are two baby faces, but it also established that this is going to be this is not going to be two friends in the ring. This is going to be two competitors, two champions, and it's going to be everything that we're expecting and then some. And it just really put over this feud, this match. And I'm excited for it. I felt like it was too soon when they first announced it, when he first got the shot. But I think they're probably building something else up for All In. They needed to pull the trigger on this, whether Ospreay wins or not at Forbidden Door. But to me, this segment really encapsulated the direction this feud's going. It pushed it forward. We need these kind of interactions more in AEW. This is what makes me a fan of AEW, aside from the wrestling itself. It's these kind of build-ups to these matches. I would loved it.
I agree, and I think that both guys separately have been just putting on insane matches. Rockets have been strapped to both of them, and they're riding high. And I think this match is just going to be everything we ever wanted, and then sometimes 10. And I think this will be Swerve's best match in AEW. And he's our champ, and he's our top guy, and we swerve when we drive all the time. But this is really going to cement Swerve into like the legacy of being the world champ that he is versus Ospreay. That being said, man, I don't know how you booked this. I really think you could almost do a time limit draw.
Interesting. You know what though? If they do, there needs to be a clear winner at the end of this. Time limit draw, and then the 5 more minutes, and then have. I do think it's still too soon to take the belt off of Swerve. I think that it legitimizes Swerve more to be the first person to give Will an L, rather than Will beating Swerve and having his reign short-lived. I want to second what the Raz says here, is the Ospreay using the stomp, because he looked right in Swerve's eyes and used his finisher, the Swerve stomp.
Love that moment.
Was a great moment during the match. Those are the kind of things that those are the little things, the little details that I feel like really makes it. I will be surprised if Will Ospreay wins in Forbidden Door, but it could also be that they want Will to go into All In as champion and to face Bryan Danielson. But I don't know. I mean, they've already kind of did that already, so I don't know I don't know what they're going to do.
So I think a couple things. This is a little loaded. Our buddy Crayfish, we were all texting. I think he brought a very, very valid point. I think this match just blows the roof off, and Callis is the one who cost Will the match, because technically he's still part of the Callis family. And then this is where Ospreay can finally break away from Callis, and Swerve and him can have a future TBD rematch. Kind of keep that open ended. A clean win would be very, very, very impressive. I don't think it's ready. I don't think the time is not right to give Ospreay a clean loss. So having a Don Callis interference would make sense. I mean, he's already has nuclear heat. I don't know how much hotter he could get. He's oozing lava heat from a volcano. So if he were to cost one of the biggest baby faces a match, of one of the biggest matches of his career, he would even have more heat possible. So I think that would be very fun. And then Ospreay can, whoop Trent's ass, and then have Ospreay and Swerve, if they do decide to team up versus Team AEW at Blood and Guts, okay, that can kind of be a little bit of that. Or Ospreay really just needs to focus on the international belt and really establish that as, the second in line championship, which he's slowly becoming to do that. The TNT was kind of taking that with Christian Cage, our father, really solidifying
Father's
that.
Day coming up, by the way.
And Copeland really, taking it and running with it. Now that it's vacated, I think you got to have Ospreay's really going to solidify that as being a premier title in AEW. That being said, I feel like the world title picture for Ospreay is not anytime soon. Mm-hmm. As much as we all want the all-in moment for him, he has to win a tournament. But why would he enter a tournament as the international title? I think it would almost be overkill again. Like, use that title for another feud and another spotlight, whatever it may be. If you do have Danielson win the world title at All In, or Pac win it at All In, and dethrone Swerve, then down the line you can revisit Ospreay versus Danielson for the world title, and no better person for him to beat than Danielson again for the world title with the Tiger Driver.
Yeah, with the Tiger Driver. Interesting. He has to use the Tiger Driver.
So
is the only way you can put him away.
A lot of lineage talking through things. All this could be, Osprey could win the title in 17 days and be the champ for all we know, but I don't see it happening. I think Swerve versus Danielson would be a very compelling main event and All In. I would love to see that. And Osprey versus whomever that's going in his hometown, and that gives him that Wembley moment, and then maybe save the world title for Double or Nothing or something next year for him to win, and then he could defend it at the following All In.
And you think about it too, like back in the WWE like Attitude Era, the world title changed hands multiple times during the year. Like The Rock would have it, then Stone Cold, and then Kurt Angle. Jericho had the undisputed title. You can just because you lose the world title doesn't take you out of the world title picture. You could always come back to it. So anything can happen. I agree with you. It's too soon. Kind of what we're saying about Mark Briscoe being the ROH champion going after another belt. You kind of and there's guys that you could put in. A Brian Cage, could be in a tournament, or I think is he in the? I don't know if he is or not, but that's somebody I'd like to see get a little more of a push. I mean, we don't even know what's going on with Wardlow. Hopefully he's feeling better. But there's another guy I'd like to see. There's
Cage
a lot
lost
of guys.
His qualifying match versus Briscoe.
Yeah. I'd like to see. I'd like to see some of these guys get a push, and I don't know. I think
the roster's deep, and there's a lot of guys we would love to see get good pushes, and so Forbidden Door obviously has a lot of New Japan and MLL people and so forth, which is great. I think it's going to be a unique pay-per-view and is always a lot of fun to watch. But that being said, you really got to start now putting the landscape out. When that tournament starts July 10th, I believe that's what TK said about the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Hopefully every week we start to get more participants and start to see brackets start to form and really get us excited for that. But speaking of Forbidden Door, a new champion is going to be defending her title at Forbidden Door. What do you think of this match here in this segment, mine?
This was on Mission Pro Spotlight. This was our banger of the week for women's wrestling.
Really?
And it was I was surprised because there were times where at first when it started, I thought this was going to be a little bit sloppy, and it was one of those things where once it got going, but the reason I liked it so much was Mercedes. This is what I was hoping we would see Mercedes do before she won the TBS title, is to get some of these kind of matches under her belt, because she kind of was almost like a female Darby at a few points in this match where she was kind of getting her ass kicked. And Zeuxis, I think, she was great in the movie 300, but I think Zeuxis was doing great when she would do these crazy powerful moves, and Mercedes would sell it like she got knocked by a truck. There's a couple pictures where she's actually like getting she got knocked to the ground, or she got knocked to the ground and she's just laying there like this and one foot is up.
Right.
There's the other one where she did the pile driver, and Mercedes has got this look and she's laying there and the camera kind of catches both of them, but Mercedes got this glass-eyed look like she might have been dead. And then she kicks out at the last minute. Mercedes is really good. I mean, I don't know if you take this for what you will. Mercedes is really good at writhing around on the ground and moaning. I don't know if that's always a good thing, but the thing is she did demonstrate some really good athletic moments against Zeuxis, and she got to showcase why she is Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks. And I think that she may, any hesitation I saw last night, I think maybe to do with, she didn't want to re-injure herself. But
sure. No one does.
My only issue is that I wish we got to see some of these before, leading up to her match against Willow, where we got to see.
I agree with you. I wish there was more exhibition matches before she got her title shot to hype it up more.
Yeah.
I think having a match like this would have hyped it up more and been like, oh, she's back. She's better than ever. This is who she is. This is, reintroduced to us AEW fans. So I think I completely agree with you. But that being said, like her 2 title defenses, and then she'll have a third one in a couple weeks, is really going to be it's a smart move. I mean, you got to get your Monet's worth out of her. Essentially, she's this name and she's the CEO for a reason. So you got to continue to let her have these bangers, and she's showing who she can go with and all that. So, Julia Hart, now her, and I did like this outing. I thought it was a great defense. And it wasn't an eliminator match. It's a title defense, which the whole eliminator match is kind of funny to me. But one thing I texted you guys both, I'm like, it's this kind of minor things, but why did the champ come out first, both Ospreay and Monet?
I don't know. I've noticed that the winners of a lot of the matches come out first too. And it's almost been a thing that we've picked up on. I don't know if it's necessarily, I mean, to me, I'm with you. It's a nitpick, but it is kind of like, it's kind of like on a movie poster or movie credits, the first name you see, it should be the main star. It's kind of like, whoever, like I remember when I watched the movie Superman back in the 80s, Marlon Brando was the first name you saw, even though he's a secondary character. He's not, yet he's the biggest star. Whereas here, Mercedes, having her come out second, I almost feel like it was designed to get the crowd hype before the unknown comes out, because if they sent out Xerxes first, Zusiata, before she came out, if she came out first, it would have been a lot of and then Mercedes come out. But having Mercedes come out first and then Xerxes, that I think that you have an already hyped up crowd. Mercedes is already in there doing this. The commentary team also did a good job quickly letting us know that Xerxes is Stephanie Vacour's former tag team partner. I mean, they may still be a tag team.
Right.
I predict, because from what I've seen of the Stephanie Vacour, and if you guys go check her, just Google her on YouTube when you get a chance. This is a better, where Xerxes was a little bit thicker for Mercedes to take on. It's kind of like a Willow versus Mercedes, like how Willow's is a powerhouse.
Right.
Stephanie Vacour is one that is really going to impress a lot of people with this match with Mercedes. I think it's really, the two ladies are going to really put on an awesome show. And I think Mercedes is going to be able to do a lot more of what she couldn't quite do with Xerxes. I think she's going to be able to pull off with Stephanie, and I think it's going to be really good.
I'm excited. AEW's been doing a great job with their video packages promoting this match and really educating us on her opponent and getting us hyped for, the title versus title match. So, correct? I mean, is that right? It was title versus title.
Yeah, it's title for title. And this is that coming, for Mercedes, it's her finally getting the title that slipped away from her when Willow beat her for it back in New Japan. And so now, and Stephanie being the current New Japan Strong Women's Champion, she's also good, like, I'm going to be the TBS champion. And I mean, there could be a world where Stephanie is the TBS champion. I think from a storyline standpoint, I don't see that happening. I see this Mercedes finishing the story, if you will. But I don't know. It's going to be a great match, and I would as little as we've talked about, AEW bringing people in that people haven't heard of. We could do worse than putting the strap on Stephanie, but I think it's going to be Mercedes winning, getting the strap that she always wanted.
Going all in with her. I mean, double gold, 2 gold belts around her shoulder or waist in a matter of a month's time. Very impressive. But you mentioned TV. And so that brings me to my point of TV time with Chris Jericho. Hey, guys. Hey guys, the best-selling T-shirt as of 15 minutes ago was
Yes.
the TV Time T-shirt from the Learning Tree himself, Chris Jericho. Man, I not to beat a dead horse, eating this up and more and more and more. I go back for seconds, I go back for thirds. I know it can be maybe an unpopular opinion, but to be honest, man, I'm loving this TV Time stuff and this Learning Tree stuff with Chris Jericho. Potentially going to see a match against Private Party very soon. But I think the cheesiness and the stuff that he's doing is just really incredible, and really just, you got to lean into it, like embrace it and lean into it. And it's so much more fun. And it's so much more fun to do that. And Jericho is really shining with this. This Learning Tree is being watered every single week. It's growing even more every single week. And his Learning Tree assassins or his Learning Tree mentors are really starting to shine as well. So I'm ready for TV Time every single week because he deserves it, man. This stuff is so cheesy, but in a way that I love the cheesy. Like, I'm not a fan of the OC cheesiness. I'm a fan of this cheesiness personally. So Jericho cheesiness, whether he was doing the list, which was one of my favorite gimmicks that he ever did, which was just absolutely hilarious, to this Learning Tree stuff, and to the like stuff that he does, like just the random stuff he thinks of.
Well, SPD, as a longtime Chris Jericho fan, I've been a fan of Chris Jericho back when he was in WCW. I've been a fan of the Lionheart. I've been a fan of Y2J. I've been a fan of Jericho as the Inner Circle Jericho, as Le Champion. I've been a fan of Jericho for a long time, so I can give you some advice. Never underestimate Jericho in taking people's opinion and twisting it and making it into gold. That's what the Learning Tree is all about, and I think that that's been a fantastic addition. Now, in all seriousness, there's still some people that have some opinions about Jericho. Some of it, I think, stemming from some politics stuff, or perhaps some of it, with the rumors and innuendo and stuff going on with back in 2019 with the female wrestler, whatever. Again, it's one of those things where I think it's you can have your personal opinions about the man, but the segment is really good, and he's playing the heel, and he's doing such a great job of playing this character that you just love to hate. And there's that go away heat, but I love that one, he's focusing on Private Party to elevate them. You got to give I can't stop talking about Large William and how he's really, you can't teach that, how he is on the mic, how he's embraced this character. And Brian Keith getting kind of the rub as kind of the B.A. Baracus, Mr. T of the Learning Tree. You better respect Chris Jericho. Like when he said, if you're going to grow lame ass corn, you better do listen to Chris Jericho. I mean, that to me, that's just gold. But I got to say, though, it's really nice to see where Isaiah Cassidy is now compared to when we first started watching Dynamite. When Private Party was starting, he not just in his ring ability, but on the mic, his confidence. Like he doesn't come across as the cocky little kid like he used to. Isaiah really comes across. He's cutting really good promos, and he's really kind of getting that. Full Tilt W uses this term man spread, and where it's like there's a point where guys no longer look like boys who look like men. And, cue the Boys to Men song, whatever. But Isaiah really is carrying himself as maybe not a top guy yet, but a top guy in the making. He's real, but be able to cut a promo like that and not be just a bunch of Twitter jargon or slang. But he did a really good job on the mic. Mark, it's great to see Mark Quinn back as well, but I think that this could potentially really help elevate Private Party to the place where they really need to be in AEW, especially in the tag division. So I'm excited about this. This is nothing but positive.
Yeah, and I like that Jericho, takes these teams that he sees potential in and tries to invest in them. You know, with the biggest swing and the miss was the Action Andretti, but you talk about, you know, really being able to showcase, you know, Santana and Ortiz with the Inner Circle and the Jericho Appreciation Society, Daddy Magic and Matt Menard. And so, like, they didn't get as much spotlight as a tag team, but they did get a lot of spotlight. They grew as characters and grew as wrestlers, being under Jericho's growing learning tree at the time. Maybe you'll see them circle back in there. This is just a gold segment, and please give us more. Hopefully we'll get one every single week. Hey guys, hey. And like I said, you can't not love that he's just giving the 100% effort into this every single time and just delivering it. Love it.
Love it, love it, love it, love it.
Folks, that's going to wrap up episode 131. We missed a few things, but a lot of wrestling that's going to happen over the next 48 hours with Rampage tomorrow night, as well as the Collision 1-year anniversary. Make sure you tune to that. One of our favorites, Thunder Rosa, going in a no DQ match in there. We got the Bang Bang Gang putting up the trios title belts against House of Black. We have the Blackpool Combat Club going head-to-head, you know, all back in full force, and so much more. Christian Cage with his Father's Day celebration. So you don't know, you know the card. You'll be tuning in. You guys are all marks, just like us, a couple of marks. So thank you, folks. We love having you in the chat. We love seeing you in there. So we'll see you next Thursday for Dynamite Download, episode 132. And good luck on the draft.
132.